goes my friend. Give him a round of applause. He's a great conservative voice in Washington, D.C. Karen and I are delighted to be with you on a beautiful day, 15 days away from a great victory all across the state of North Carolina and all across the United States of America. We are thrilled to be with you today. Mark knows me well enough to know, though, the introduction I prefer is even shorter than the one he did. That is, I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican. It's amazing for me to think, with my wife at my side, a little more than 3 months ago, I accepted this party's nomination to run and serve as the next Vice President of the United States of America. And I'm deeply humbled by that. Deeply humbled by your presence here today, but I'm here to tell you, I joined this team in a heartbeat. Because you have nominated a man for president who never quits, who never backs down. He is a fighter. He is a winner. Until not too long ago, it seemed like he was out there fighting all on his own. But now this movement is coming together. North Carolina is coming together. America's coming together. We're going to make Donald Trump the next president of the United States of America. And I really do believe that Donald Trump literally embodies the spirit of this country. Strong, freedom-loving, independent, and willing to fight every day for what he believes in and for what makes this country great. You sure saw that last week in Vegas, didn't you? When he took to the stage and beat Hillary Clinton in that third debate, hands down. I got to tell you, I know a little bit about going on that debate stage. We had a debate of our own in the vice presidential contest a couple of weeks back. In fact, I've been running late. I've been running late for the last 2 weeks because every time I stop, Tim Kaine calls and interrupts me. I'm glad to be with you today. Some people thought I won that debate. You know, from where I sat, Donald Trump won that debate. Donald Trump's leadership won that debate, and Donald Trump's vision to make America great again won that debate. Is going to win all the way to the White House. Because you know, this election really is about more than a choice between two people. It's really, in my book, it's a choice between two futures. Amen. And so let me tell you where I stand. I choose a stronger America. Yes. I choose a more prosperous America. Yes! I choose an America that stands firmly on the Constitution of the United States and the God-given liberties that are enshrined there. So I choose to stand with Donald Trump and every American who knows we can make America great again. You know, and it's not exactly like it's a fair fight out there every day. You know, sometimes I get up in the morning, I got to turn on the television with a stick. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, it's like it's 2-on-1 every day with the national media doing half of Hillary Clinton's work for her. But the amazing thing is, even though we're outnumbered on the airwaves, we're winning hearts and minds every single day. It really is amazing, as the media tends to go after every single attack against my running mate. They just continue to ignore it. Just an avalanche of controversies and scandals coming out of Hillary Clinton's years as Secretary of State. And it's frankly obvious what the media is trying to do just over the last few days. Right? I mean, they're trying to refer to some polling data to try and roll this campaign up. Well, the polls that I'm looking at have, let me think, Rasmussen's got us up 2 across the country. Investor's Business Daily has us up 1 across the country. And here in North Carolina, it's a 1-point race. This race is on, North Carolina. Don't let them spin you any other way. Don't be fooled. This race is on. And the truth of the matter is, she may have the media, the money, and the special interests on her side, but Donald Trump and I've got the American people on our side, and the American people are saying enough is enough. And especially saying enough is enough when it comes to the fast and loose ethics of the Clintons. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just amazing that while she was Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton and her family were operating a private family foundation, and she had a private server keeping her communications about all those things out of the public reach in between all that. I mean, yet Bob Woodward on national television yesterday referred to the Clinton Foundation and just say, it's not only unseemly, he said, quote, it's corrupt. Bob Woodward, of Woodward and Bernstein of Watergate fame, couldn't have said it better, and the American people know. I mean, the truth is, just the last few days we found out the FBI confirmed that the State Department offered a quid pro quo to the FBI if they'd agree to change the classified status of emails on her private server. We found out through a Freedom of Information request that while she was Secretary of State, we were involved in a rebuilding effort in Haiti after that terrible earthquake. And we got emails that are available now that show that they identified friends of the Clintons for contracts to rebuild Haiti after she told us that there was none of that pay-to-play politics going on with their donors and their supporters in the Clinton Foundation. You know, the American people are sick and tired of pay-to-play politics that only works for the favored few, and it's exactly the kind of politics that's going to come to an end the day that Donald Trump becomes president of the United States. We've got a plan. As he outlined in Gettysburg the other day, we got a 100-day action plan to bring honesty, accountability, and change to Washington, D.C. We're going to pass ethics reform, and we're going to drain the swamp in our nation's capital. You know, the truth of the matter is, we live in a time where I think the American people are just tired of being told. They're tired of being told this is as good as it gets. They're tired of being told by leaders in both political parties that they'll eventually get around to solving these intractable problems while we're piling a mountain range of debt on our children and grandchildren. $19.8 trillion in debt. All these students here at Catawba College are going to get that bill in ways that those of you out there with the hair the same color of mine are probably never going to have to deal with it. I mean, it really is astonishing. And the heavy-handed nature of the political class and the mainstream media is all in that tired of being told thing. I had a woman stop me at CVS the other night. Karen and I stopped in to get some chocolate milk. She looked at me across the counter, the clerk did, back in my hometown, and she said, Mike, she said, we're all for you. We're all for you. Yeah. And then she said to me words, I literally got out a pen and wrote it down on our receipt. She said, Mike, it seems like the only opinion you're allowed to have anymore is somebody else's. Well, the American people are tired of it. We're tired, as Ronald Reagan said, we're tired of being told that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives better for us than we can plan for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Well, Donald Trump has a plan to turn power back to the American people where it belongs. It's a contract with the American voters, and we're going to sign it on November the 8th. Because the choice in this election couldn't be more clear. It really is beyond those fast and loose ethics of the Clintons. It really is about the big issues. And as you leave here today from this rally, I hope you leave here and talk to your neighbors and friends about these issues, about security and about prosperity, and about the highest court in the land. You know, despite traveling millions of miles as our Secretary of State, it's undeniable that the world is more dangerous today than the day that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton took over American foreign policy. Our allies are less secure, our enemies are more emboldened. You know, history teaches us that weakness arouses evil. And the weak and feckless foreign policy of this administration, the architect of which was Hillary Clinton, of moving red lines, feigning resets with Russia, leading from behind, the rise, rule, and reign of ISIS across wider areas of the Middle East is all a testament to this failed leadership. You know, you got to remember it was Hillary Clinton that crafted that foreign policy. Hillary Clinton initiated that disastrous agreement with the radical mullahs in Iran. They got $150 billion, and all we got was a delay of the ambitions of the leading state sponsor of terrorism to obtain nuclear weapons. And in the midst of all of it, the day that they released 4 American hostages. And I just read the other day they got 2 more Americans. We actually delivered to them $400 million in cash in a ransom payment on the day that 4 Americans were released, violating decades of American foreign policy about not doing deals with terrorists. Let me make you a promise. When Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, we won't be paying ransom to terrorists. They'll be paying the price if they threaten to detain the American people. And remember, it was Hillary Clinton who failed to negotiate an agreement with the sovereign country of Iraq that would have allowed U.S. forces to stay there to secure the hard-fought gains won by the American soldier. You know, I remember I was in Congress during all of those years. I saw the hard years. I visited our soldiers downrange 10 years in a row. More importantly, Karen and I have stood by the gravesides and prayed and wept with families whose children paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. And it's so important that history will record that by the end of 2008, the American soldier, through great sacrifice, had won this peace and won the war in Iraq. We had secured that nation, and the American soldier did it. But it was Hillary Clinton. It was Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama who withdrew all American forces 4 years later and created the very vacuum in which the terrorist organization ISIS was able to rise. And as we stand here today in the sunshine in North Carolina, there are Americans in harm's way, just outside Mosul, having to win back what had already been won by the American soldier by the end of 2008. And lastly, it was Hillary Clinton and her State Department who left Americans in harm's way in Benghazi. Never sent help. You understand that? I mean, they got a movie out now called 13 Hours, so some people could think that we sent help after 13 hours. They never sent help. We were never wheels up to get those Americans out of harm's way. That proverbial phone call that she talked about 8 years ago coming in the middle of the night, it came late afternoon. And we saw her lack of leadership in high relief. And worse still, after she told her own daughter on the night of the attack in an email that it was a terrorist attack, an Al-Qaeda-style terrorist attack, she told the families of the fallen at Dover Air Force Base that it was because of a filmmaker in this country. And she's never taken it back. After she was questioned before the Senate, we all know what she said. It rings with ignominy into history. She said, "What difference at this point does it make?" Well, let me say, as a proud father of a United States Marine, anybody who said that, anybody who did that, should be disqualified from ever serving as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States. The truth is, it's not just bad decisions in real time and bad deals with places like Iran. It's also about bad policies. Under this administration, we've hollowed our military out. Lowest troop level for our Army since 1940, smallest number of ships since 1916. Marine Corps battalions down from 36 battalions to 23. And the average age of our aircraft in the Air Force is older than most of the pilots that we train to fly. 27 years old is the aircraft average age. We cannot have 4 more years apologizing to our enemies, abandoning our friends, and cutting back in the military in a way that weakens America's posture in the world. For the world to be safe, for America to be safe, America needs to be strong. And Donald Trump will lead on the world stage with American strength. When Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, we will rebuild our military. We will restore the arsenal of democracy. We will provide our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines with the resources and training they need to accomplish their mission, and we will hunt down and destroy ISIS at its source. You know, that kind of leadership is probably why Donald Trump's been endorsed by more than 200 retired admirals and generals, including more than 20 Medal of Honor winners, to be the next Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America. You know, it's not just about security abroad and our national security, it's also about safety at home. You know, I don't need to tell you here in North Carolina, but it's a very challenging time for the men and women who serve in law enforcement in this country. It seems like every time tragedy strikes, a police officer in the commission of their duty, when tragedy strikes, there are those on the left and those in the media who want to paint with a broad brush and assume the worst of those in law enforcement. Well, let me tell you, when Donald Trump becomes the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States of America, we will have a president who stands with the men and women in law enforcement at every level. We'll provide them with the resources and training they need to do their job, and we will restore law and order to every city and every community in the land. Where Hillary Clinton wants open borders, Donald Trump will end illegal immigration and remove dangerous criminals from our country. Where Hillary Clinton wants to increase the Syrian refugee program by 550%, Donald Trump will immediately suspend immigration from any countries or territories compromised by terror. In a word, Donald Trump will uphold the laws of this nation for the citizens of this nation and will always put the safety and security of the American people first. Oh, that's probably why Donald Trump was endorsed by the 330,000 members of the Fraternal Order of Police nationwide to be the next president of the United States. You know, but it's not just about security and safety, it's also about prosperity in this election. We're in the weakest economic recovery since the Great Depression. It's amazing that 1 in 4 Americans in their prime earning years isn't even working. We have the lowest labor participation rate since the 1970s. 1 in 5 households have no one with a job. 45 million Americans are on food stamps, and 47 million Americans are living in poverty today. Millions more than when Barack Obama became president. It's extraordinary to think of. Their solutions? More of the same failed ideas. Not just the same ideas, more of the same. Hillary Clinton, after years of tax increases under Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton wants to raise taxes by $1 trillion. She wants to continue the war on American energy that's stifling American jobs. And she gave a speech up in Canada, we finally got a copy of, where she said she wanted a Canadian-style healthcare system. Socialized medicine. She sees Obamacare as just a good start. You know, they tell us this economy is the best that we can do. People of North Carolina know a little bit better than that, don't you? Yes! It's not the best we can do. It's just the best they can do. And when Donald Trump becomes president of the United States of America, we're going to put common sense, conservative principles into practice, and we're going to get this economy moving again for every American. Because Donald Trump has a plan. It looks a whole lot like the plan that Ronald Reagan put into effect in 1980. Frankly, it looks a lot like what John F. Kennedy did in the 1960s. Instead of raising taxes by $1 trillion, we're going to get with a re-elected Republican House and Senate, and we're going to cut taxes across the board for working families, small businesses, and family farms. We're going to end death taxes once and for all, and we're going to lower business taxes in North Carolina so that companies in North Carolina can keep jobs and create jobs here and not see them sent overseas. On day one of the Trump-Pence administration, Donald Trump's going to sign a moratorium on any new federal red tape, and we're going to repeal every single Obama executive order that's stifling jobs and opportunities in our society. And on day one of the Trump-Pence administration, the war on coal comes to an end. We're going to develop all the resources of our land. And because Donald Trump and I know that trade means jobs, we're going to continue to promote free trade. But trade under Donald Trump's going to mean American jobs first. We're going to renegotiate NAFTA. We're going to stop seeing jobs go overseas. And we're going to have trade policies that hold our trading partners accountable for the deals that they make with the American people. And lastly, in the first 100 days of a Trump-Pence administration, we're going to repeal the so-called Affordable Care Act once and for all. I mean, did you hear what President Obama said about this the other day? This is my personal favorite. I don't know why this one hadn't gone viral. Well, yeah, I do. They're the ones reporting about it. It was the 3rd anniversary of that rollout they did for Obamacare. You remember? That was so successful. I'm glad we remember. That's a good thing to remember. President Obama actually compared Obamacare last week on the 3rd anniversary of the rollout to, you'll think I made this up. Did you hear this? Yeah. President Obama compared Obamacare to the Samsung Galaxy 7 phones, which have spontaneously burst into flames. So he thinks I'm making that up. I'm not. Here's your quote. President Obama, this speechwriter I bet no longer has a job. President Obama said, quote, when one of these companies comes out with a new smartphone and it has a few bugs, what do? They fix it. They upgrade it. Unless it catches fire, and then they pull it off the market. Well, what a coincidence. Mr. President, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to pull Obamacare off the market. And we're going to replace it with the kind of health care reform that lowers the cost of health insurance without growing the size of government. We're not going to have socialized medicine that Hillary Clinton wants to see. We're going to have free market economics, more consumer choice. That's the American way to meet the health care needs of our American economy. So it's about security, it's about prosperity. But maybe most important of all, it's about the highest court in the land. Yes. It really is, men and women. I mean, with the passing of the late Justice Antonin Scalia, literally the balance of the court is on the ballot. Many of the most consequential decisions in recent years were made by a 5-4 majority. I mean, elect Hillary Clinton. I mean, you heard her the other night in that debate, didn't you? I mean, when she was asked about the kind of Supreme Court she wanted to have, she spoke about having a court that represents people. Well, I served in the House of Representatives. The Constitution I read says that the President represents the people, the Congress represents the people, the Supreme Court is appointed to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and settle disputes. It is not the representative part of our government. In fact, when I was watching her answer, I was on the front row of that debate out in Las Vegas. It was a pretty good seat. I was right. I literally, her first question she got asked about the Supreme Court, I literally was checking my watch. I wear a Timex watch. Literally was checking my watch to see how long it would. It took her almost 2 minutes before she even mentioned the Constitution of the United States. I mean, appoint Hillary Clinton, or elect Hillary Clinton and get used to more appointments to the Supreme Court of, unelected judges using unaccountable power to make unconstitutional actions. And Donald Trump, you elect Donald Trump president of the United States, and you can count on the fact we're going to appoint men and women to the Supreme Court and all of our federal courts who will strictly construe the Constitution of the United States as written in the tradition of the late and great Justice Antonin Scalia. So for the sake of the rule of law, for the sake of the sanctity of life, for the sake of our Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, for the sake of all of our God-given liberties enshrined in the Bill of Rights, we must ensure, North Carolina, that the next president making appointments to the Supreme Court of the United States of America is President Donald Trump. The choice in this election could not be more clear. It's change versus the status quo. And they're making you a promise. If you like your status quo, you can keep it. And they're going to keep that promise. And the truth is, the American people can elect someone who literally personifies a failed establishment in our nation's capital. Or they can choose a leader. A leader who will stand strong at home and abroad and make America great again. That's the choice. So the first thing I want you to do is vote. Vote early. I went ahead and checked on the way here, folks. It's not too far, 2.2 miles away from this very venue. I didn't walk it off, but I looked it up. The Rowan County Board of Elections, open today, 8:30 to 6:30. Everyone on this rally should leave this rally today and go cast a vote for the Trump-Pence team and for all the Republicans running for election and re-election. Just go do it. Get it out of the way, because I got other stuff I want you to do in the next 15 days. So after you get that done, the second thing I want you to do is I want you to go tell somebody. I want you to go tell somebody what the choice is in this election. I mean, the truth of the matter is, a lot of times now this never happens in North Carolina, I'm sure. Sometimes there's not like a dime's worth of difference between the people on one ballot and the people on another ballot. You ever have that? But you know, this really isn't one of those times. This really isn't one of those times, is it? I mean, the truth is, you know, as Ronald Reagan said back in 1964, this isn't even as much a choice between left and right or Republican and Democrat. As Reagan said, it's a choice between up and down. It's a choice. I want you to go tell your neighbors and friends that. I mean, North Carolina looms large in our national destiny always, but especially so this year. I mean, so I want you to go tell your neighbors and friends. I ran into Mike the other day. I was over at Catawba College, and he told me to tell you. He told me to tell you. The choice is whether we're going to continue to go down the hill to a weaker America at home and abroad, to a more stifled American economy with more government, more taxes, weighing down jobs and opportunities for this generation and next, walking farther away from our most cherished constitutional principles and ideals, or whether we're going to stop, plant our feet, turn around, and march back up the hill to a stronger America at home and abroad, a more prosperous America that celebrates and cherishes our Constitution and our highest ideals. That's the choice. So call your neighbors and friends over a backyard fence at places of worship and work, and just tell them. Tell them the choice that we face. And as you go tell somebody, I hope you're not buying all this media spin that's out there. No. I mean, this race is on. Okay? And we're going to kick to the finish. But you got to go tell somebody. The truth is, we've won over independents. We've won over independents who are tired of the status quo in Washington, D.C. They're tired of a nation's capital getting nothing done. They're tired of the corruptions and the misdeeds and jobs leaving this country. We've won over many Southern Democrats, frankly. We're tired of the big government liberal policies coming out of our nation's capital. And those trade deals that are costing good, hard-working manufacturing jobs here in North Carolina. But now I want to submit to all you, it's time to reach out to all of our Republican and conservative friends and say with one voice, it's time to come home and elect Donald Trump as the next president of the United States. It's time to come home and elect the Trump-Pence team. And let me be clear on this point. As Donald Trump said yesterday in Naples, it's time to come home and re-elect Republican majorities in the United States House and the United States Senate. North Carolina, we need you to send people like Mark Meadows back to Washington, D.C., and you need to re-elect Senator Richard Burr to our nation's capital. It's time to come home and make sure that you re-elect Governor Pat McCrory to the State House. It's time to come home. It's time to come home and come together and do everything in our power to make sure that Hillary Clinton is never elected President of the United States of America, and Donald Trump and Republican Congress can move this country forward. So that's the choice we have. And lastly, let me say, if you're taking notes, go vote today. Go tell somebody the choice in this election, and that it's time to come home. And thirdly, have faith.
Yes.
Have faith. Be confident. I mean, she may have the media, the money, and the special interests, but I believe with all my heart, we've got the American people. And the American people are going to make this country great again. And my running mate said the other day in Gettysburg, we need to, quote, quote, rise above the noise and clutter of our broken politics and embrace the great faith and optimism that's always been central to the American character. So let's have faith. Let's have faith in the American people. Let's have faith in the ability of the American people to see through the clutter.
Yes.
And to know in their heart of hearts that we can be stronger again. We can be more prosperous again. We can do it all in a way that cherishes our highest ideals and traditions. And lastly, let's have faith in Him who set this miracle of democracy on these wilderness shores.
Yes.
And if you're inclined to do it, I encourage you. In the days ahead, the next 15 days, as you vote, as you talk to your friends, if you're inclined to bow the head and bend the knee, it'd be a good time to do it.
Amen.
And the truth is, and I'm not, on this one, I know I'm here championing our cause, but I'm not even asking you to pray for one particular outcome or another. I'm just telling you, pray for America. In these challenging times of widening and unknowable threats, of new aggression among adversaries and competitors, of an economy that's struggling, stifled at home, of a time of seeing so many walking away from the timeless ideals that have made this country great. It's a good time. Good time to appeal to that well that Americans have gone to again and again in much more challenging times. I like Abraham Lincoln's view of this, though. He was asked one time if he thought God was on his side, and he simply said, I'd rather concern myself more with whether we're on God's side.
Yes.
So I encourage you to pray. Pray with confidence, too. Because what's been true for millennia is still true today, that if His people, who are called by His name, will humble themselves and pray, He'll do like He's always done. He'll hear from heaven. And He'll heal this land. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. So North Carolina, we got work to do, and we got 15 days to do it. So if you do all that you can in the next 15 days, I'm going to make you a promise. That man is ready. This team is ready. This movement is ready. If you go out and make sure that North Carolina is ready, we will make Donald Trump the 45th President of the United States of America, and we will make America great again. Let's go get it done, North Carolina. Thank you, and God bless you.